Hello guys and welcome back. As always, my name is Urban and today we are going to take a look at our reloading assistant, the Unicount Round Counter. So what is it? This is a smart monitoring device that will help you keep track of your reloading data with easy to access but powerful functions. It is a really good upgrade for your reloading machine. So the basic idea behind the round counter was to keep track of your reloading numbers, but when designing this product we saw it had much more potential than just being a counter, so we tried to build in all the functions that would be useful for a reloader. Now this counter is universal. This means it is designed to be used on the Dillon 650, 750 machines. You can also use them on the Dillon 1000 series of machines, and we also have an option to mount it on the Frankfurt Arsenal X10 press. So the cool thing about this counter is you can keep track of your reloading numbers, you can get real-time reloading data, you can also get a powder hopper low warning, and also you have a LED light, a built-in switch, so you can control and illuminate your workspace. Now let's do the unboxing and see what comes inside. This counter is for Dillon 1000 machines, and when you open it, you are greeted with the instruction manual and also the accessory pack that contains all the mounting hardware you need. Next, we have the USB-A to USB-C cable with the on-off switch and a high voltage spike protector. Now, the power brick is not included, but you can use any standard 5-volt power brick you have laying around at home. Next, we have the sensors. This is the low powder sensor for your powder measure and also the counter sensor itself. Now this sensor comes with the different attachments depending on which machine you need. Next we have the LED light and mount. Next is pre-assembled Unicount mount with the locking nut and the Unicount counter itself. First, let's assemble the mount. On the back side of the Unicount you have 3 holes. If you are assembling for the Dillon, you have this mounting bracket that you can assemble together in this way or also on the other way, depending on the application you need. You need to use these 2 mounting screws and you're done. You have 2 options when mounting the light on the Dillon 1000. If you have the original tool head, you get the supplied LED and the mount. You remove the O-ring, mount the hanger like this and put the O-ring back so it holds the LED on. Now you use this side to connect to one of the dies and hold it with the die nut in place like this. You have an Armanov toolhead like this one, which has a built-in LED. You can purchase a connecting cable separately to connect the built-in LED to the round counter. If you have Frankfurt Arsenal press, then you use the supplied Arsenal mount to mount it directly to the Unicount with the 3 supplied nuts, and you also get a nut and bolt that will hold the completed assembly on the press. So now let's mount the counter on the Frankfurt Arsenal X10 press. This nut fits into this channel and it's very easy to mount. Just use a hex key, position the nut into the channel and screw inside. Now the nut will self-rotate and lock behind the channel, and this is everything you need to do to mount the counter on the Frankfurt Arsenal post of the case feeder. Before we can mount the counter sensor to the Frankfurt Arsenal press, we need to assemble a few components. First is to assemble the sensor and the part of the funnel where the sensor sits. Simply use the screw to screw in the sensor. It should look like this when finished. You have guides here that will guide the sensor so it is properly seated. Now you take the other half and just combine the two with this channel like this, and we are almost ready to go. Now we also need to take this bolt and locking nut and pass them through this hole like this. Don't need to tighten, just they are located on top. Next we will go to the machine and mount the sensor. Now that the chute and sensor are assembled together, we use this pass-through hole to reach the bolt with our Allen key. We can simply feed the nut into the channel and catch the proper height here like this. All you need is now to secure the bolt and you are ready to reload. When installing the LED light on the Frankfurt Arsenal press, you have three options. One is to use one of the die and lock the holder with the die locking ring like this. Or if you have an empty station, you can use the supplied cap to mount this tab like this, and now you have two options. You can install the LED light on the tab, just put the O-ring on the bottom so it holds the light in place like this. Or if you do not want to use the tab, you can remove it and just use the holding nut as a place to hold your LED light. Now let's take a look how to set the sensor so it will properly count. You can see here a small green LED. To start, use a small flathead screwdriver and turn the sensor counterclockwise as far as it goes. Now slowly go clockwise until you see the green LED light, and now again go counterclockwise just enough so the green LED shuts off. Be very precise because it's very sensitive. A little bit more. Okay, now it should be, let's test. Okay, we need to adjust it a little bit more. Be very sensitive. As you can see, now every time I pass the sensor, the green light and the notification sounds. This means the sensor is adjusted. Again, when you adjust the sensor, you have to be extremely precise so it will be adjusted properly. Now that we have adjusted the counter sensor, let's also adjust the sensor for the powder measure. First, very similar to the counter sensor, but has a little bit of difference. So, first, again, turn it completely counterclockwise, so it's completely off, and now turn clockwise until you see the green light engage. When you see the green light, you will again need to go counterclockwise and now very small, like before, micro adjustments, so the light turns off, and as you can see, the sensor has been activated. Now let's try. If now you can see the powder is behind the sensor, the green light should be on, and if the sensor senses no powder behind, it activates, the light turns off, and the warning turns on. If this works like shown, then your powder sensor is set. Let's connect the sensors and LED light and power on the Unicount Round Counter. First, we connect the low powder sensor in the bottom port. Next, connect the LED light in the middle port, and on the top we connect the counter sensor itself. Now all the sensors are connected. We only need to connect the USB-C power supply here, and the sensor will power on. Before we start, let's connect the USB-C cable and with the switch power on the counter. Now, when the counter powers on, you see one of 3 possible home screens which you toggle through with this view button. They show you live data, the number of rounds processed, and also if you have a batch set, how many rounds of a batch you have already loaded. Now, if you need in this one of these 3 home screens, if you need to add or subtract, you can do this manually. This is so if you have a problem with your machine, if you skipped one station or anything like that, you can manually adjust so your batch progress will always be true. Now, in one of these 3 screens, you can also reset. Let's say I have 5 rounds. You can also reset the count by pressing this reset button. Now the counting is reset, and also you can see the batch progress is reset. I would like to mention that when you are using this timer and stop, you need to wait 30 seconds because the internal memory saves the progress you have made every 30 seconds. So when you stop reloading, please wait 30 or more seconds before turning the counter off, so all of your progress will be stored in the memory. Now, here we also have a switch to operate the LED light, and it also has another function that if you hold it for 3 seconds, you can choose the type of confirmation the sensor makes every time a bullet is dropped through. So you have 3 options. One is beep confirmation. One is LED, so the LED light will flash when each case drops through the sensor. Or you can also choose no confirmation if this is something you don't need or it's just annoying for you, you can turn it off. The LED light will turn off after 15 minutes if the counter sensor does not sense any new bullets or cases dropped. If this happens, just click the LED light once and the light will come back on. Now that we have gone through the home screens, we will explain to you also the menu button. The menu button is here on top, and by clicking it, you come into the main menu. On the right side, you see total rounds on top and counter behind, and then you have options that show you each caliber you reload, plus case preparation, case trimming if you do, and also 5 custom options. Now you cannot rename these options, but you just, in your notes, you know if you need. This will show each count for each specific, look, 9 by 19, I have produced 21 rounds, so this will count each specific caliber that you decide to use. Just scroll to the caliber and go out of the menu, and you will now, you see, in 45 ACP. If you come back to the menu and you decide 45 ACP in this case is the caliber you want, you can use the tab button to toggle between next main menu setting, and this is batch size. So this counter allows you to set a batch size from 10 to 1000 rounds, depending on what you need. Now, if you do not want to use the counter, you just leave it at one of these, and in the next step, where you have notification before the batch end, you can just set notification to don't notify, and this will be a function that you do not use. If instead you want to be notified, let's say you have 25 round batch and you want to be notified 5 rounds before the batch ends, you in notify toggle just select 5 before end of batch, and the counter will automatically notify you every time your batch is 5 rounds before end. And the last function is the powder sensor, which you can turn on or off depending on if you need to be notified if your powder hopper is running low. You can always have the sensor mounted and just select here on or off depending on what you want. Now, if you want to reset the complete count of the round counter, this is total rounds tab on the top, then you need to perform a factory reset, but you need to know that this will completely reset everything to factory specification. How to do that? You turn the timer off and disconnect the power. Now you hold the reset button, plug in the counter and turn the switch on, and hold the reset until the timer boots. Now it should be completely reset to 0, as you can see. Everything is set back to 0 and to factory specification. Okay, so now we will simulate the round counting. I have set the every round drop notification to beep, and here we will also see the pace, the batch progress and the rounds that we produced. Let's do. As you can see, every round produced activates a beep when the sensor senses a bullet drop, and here we also have the reloading pace. Now this is unrealistic in real time, but just to show you how the process works. So as you can see, the Unicount Round Counter offers some very cool functions that make keeping track of your reloading data very easy. You can reload in batches, you get an illuminated workspace, and also a sensor that notifies you when your powder hopper is running empty. Now, if you like this product, you can get it on our web shop and find it in the link below. If you like our content, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and also leave a comment down below. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.